And now, Gimmick Infringement.
Welcome, everybody, to the Gimmick Infringement Podcast. I am Brad Winchester, and with me, as always, is my tag team partner, Tyler McDowell Blank. And Tyler, we are joined by, I guess this is the official, unofficial trios partner for GI. I'm going to pass it to you.
Yeah, this is so true. We are a trio today, Brad. The great Mike Steph is back. Mike, we don't even need to give you a formal introduction at this point. Not because we don't love you dearly, but because our audience knows you at this point. Host and creator of the Salty... Well, we're going to give you this intro anyway. How about that? Host and creator of the Salty Thoughts of Mike Steph podcast. Co-host of Hidden Gems Football on 19 Media Group. Summer of Steph mixtape out now. Mike Steph, welcome back to Gimmick Infringement. How you been?
I'm doing good. I'm glad to be back. As we was talking to our marathon pre-production show, I only come on this platform when we talk about big things. You know, I made my debut prior to WrestleMania. What was it, 38, with Cody debuting. Then I've come on random episodes, and then I've also done a Survivor's review. And this year couldn't end it without seeing yours truly. And of course, we had to bring me on after, you know, some would arguably say the GOAT, not my opinion, but John Cena's last match, and so much more. But neither here nor there. I'm so glad to finally rejoin y'all, and I really appreciate y'all having me on.
Absolutely. Well, as Brad and I were putting together the rundown for this show, what topics must we discuss on this episode? It became clear that we need a guest, and Mike Steph, given the topics that we're going to get into, like you said, Saturday night's main event, AEW, Continental Classic, new women's tag champs, the build to World's End, but we also have Michigan football. We have the Diddy documentary on Netflix. It became apparent there is only one guest who fits the bill this week, and that is Mike Steph. Brad, I don't know about you. I say we get into it. I say we take a trip to Ann Arbor, Michigan. It is time for What Happened Here, Michigan Football Edition.
What happened here?
Brad, I'm just going to keep talking, and I'm going to intro this segment, and then I'm going to kick it to you and Mike Steph. Guys, as of our last recording, the University of Michigan had a head football coach. As of this recording, they no longer do. Previous HC Sherrone Moore was relieved of his duties last week after allegations of an improper relationship with a staffer. A lot has happened since then. Sherrone Moore was arraigned after allegedly going to this staff member's home and allegedly threatening her, threatening himself and his own life, her life. So much has gone down. Mike Steph, I want to kick it to you first. Okay. What happened here?
Well, I have so many thoughts. To be candid, I have kind of detached myself from a lot of news lately, just to try to preserve my own positive energy. With so many things going on in politics, you know, society and everything, I try to just keep everything nice and close to home. But this did come across my radar, and at first I'm like, okay, this is like a redo of the Ime Udoka situation with the Boston Celtics. But then things turned for a very darker turn when they said that he went to the staffer's house after she broke up with him, and held her at, well, I think he threatened to kill himself and kill her with a butter knife. And I'm like, okay. I have questions because, like I said, I'm not fully versed on it, but I know the gist of it. So they was together for 4 years, supposedly, right? And her salary doubled from $45,000 to $90,000, right? And then they could conveniently or coincidentally lost the big game against their rival, Ohio State University. And then not so not so long after that, she decided, you know what? As far as I know, we can't continue this relationship. And knowing that it's against the rules, she outed them to the administration. Why? I'm asking. Now, that doesn't take him off the hook, because how he reacted was totally not cool. But I wonder, what was the impetus for the break? What was the impetus? But neither here nor there. How can Michigan bounce back from this latest controversy? But like literally, this doesn't look good for neither party to me. Even though currently she still has her position, and he's currently in the jail, in the jail cell, being videotaped and having it distributed in the media, which I don't understand what's the reason with that. But yeah, that's those are my thoughts as of now. Maybe I'll come back with a retort of what y'all have to say.
Brad, what say you?
Man, listen, the Ohio State loss was enough. And then to go from there and it's just like getting kicked in the junk. When I saw the news that they had fired him, I went, all right, something real bad happened here. This wasn't, I'm going to secretly film the Central Michigan sideline for some tape. This is something more.
Word to Connor Stallions.
I bet everybody misses the khakis now. I'm just saying. I they did the right thing. I wonder how this is going to recruiting despite NIL. Like, you can get paid all you want. If people go for the money versus the opportunity to get exposure so they could get drafted, I just feel like, given Michigan's 5-year history, yeah, they got a national championship in there, but there's also like the people that believe it was unfairly won despite, not having tape for anybody for the entire run of the playoffs. I don't know long-term how this is going to hurt them. When you go from him to, sorry, I'm trying to get it out without chuckling here. When you go to him to the new coach, Biff is coaching now. And all I could think is like, Biff is going to be a problem if he ever opens a casino. Because I'm having Back to the Future 2 flashbacks here. So if Biff doesn't work out, like, I'm just saying, like, where do you want to go? Do you want to, hey, I'm thinking about going to Michigan. Who's the head coach? Well, it's Biff. Then I'm not going to Michigan. So I'm waiting for the real fallout to happen. It scares me for next season. It scares me for the recruiting class. I feel really bad for all the kids that are currently players that are a part of this, that signed up to play for this band, that like bought in and invested into the team, who are now going to probably all enter the transfer portal and torpedo the entirety of the program. I just wonder what's going to happen next. And it scares me because it's a huge storied program that I don't like to see mired in controversy like this, but college sports, college football especially, is just a dirty business. And it sucks when it's outside of the normal filth of the business and just into regular crime. And this was like completely unacceptable. So I think University of Michigan is the only one that's going to look good here, in that they found out and fired them. Like, they followed protocol and did the right thing. And I don't think anybody can dispute what they did unless they had prior knowledge. If it comes out they had prior knowledge, that'll be a problem. So in terms of how they handled it, I think they handled it the right way. They fired him right away when they found out. End of story. And made a statement. I think both parties involved here, of the individuals, like Mike Steph, I don't think either of them are going to look good here. He certainly is not going to look any kind of good. But yeah, the timing's a little suspect. For the school, I think the school is the only one that like did the right thing in either circumstance. But I'm sure there's stuff that we don't know about. Why was it cut off? I don't know. Maybe he went off the rails afterward And she was like, all right, this is done. And the only way I can protect myself is by letting the university know what happened to get that separation. And then the next step, maybe that's restraining order. And then here we are. So who knows what happens. So I'm sure we'll find out as time goes on and we get to trial and all of those other things.
Mike Steph, anything you'd like to add?
I'm sorry. The only picture that's going through my mind right now is Sherrone Moore and this young lady, right? And there's so many things that's going on social media, and which fair foul is probably the wrong place to look for any type of objectivity. But yeah, I wonder if he strutted into that house
with like a McMahon strut.
No,
no. He has another idea. I heard this. Over the
you were gonna go Obafemi there, right? I saw the little strut.
Yes. He strutted in.
Feels like this is more of a McMahon situation, to be honest.
Well, hey pal, how about this?
No.
I don't like any of this. I love Obafemi. I don't like any of this though.
You gonna cut it off with me? You are fired.
All right, we're going to roll right into the next segment, and we're actually going to keep it wrestling related, but we're going to talk about somebody in wrestling who makes me very happy. Brad Winchester, Mike Steph. It's truly become the two most important words on this here podcast. We're going to hit the music. It is time once again for Steph Watch.
Steph Watch.
Stephanie Vaquer did appear on Monday Night Raw last week. Can't confirm. We've been theorizing who should be La Primera's next challenger. And guys, I think we got our answer as Nikki Bella interrupted Vaquer's in-ring promo to demand a rematch. What do you know? Raquel Rodriguez attacks Bella from behind, totally mollywops her, declaring that she is the rightful next challenger. Now, I am good with this. Raquel is solid, and I fear that she may become less of a spotlighted member of the Judgment Day as Liv Morgan and Roxanne Perez have more on-screen time together. I also approve of this because there is no way Raquel is going to dethrone Steph. Mike, we can't talk about professional wrestling in 2025 without addressing Vaquer's meteoric rise on the main roster. What have you thought of her reign thus far?
Unfortunately, I think it's been lackluster, considering the amount of momentum that she had when they brought her to the main roster. They put the belt on her. Unfortunately, due to circumstances, the planned event between her and Naomi. How about this? I personally don't believe that she might have won if Naomi wouldn't have had to take time off. Because to me, that would have been the wrong time to stop the momentum of Naomi. She was a great substitute, as in, okay, well, we don't have this card to play. Let's put here. But everything since WrestlePalooza and her gaining the title leads me to believe that they had no plans for her to be the champion, because she's had no program. Literally, she's had no program.
Yeah.
And it's similar to on SmackDown, not to a lesser degree with Julia. They brought her up, and then they put the U.S. title on her, and that was it. But hopefully this would be the beginning of them actually establishing her as not just a placeholder champion, but as part of the future of the women's division. The one thing I will say here concerning Raquel, matter of fact, the one thing I'll say here, period, it's interesting that we have Stephanie Vaquer as the world champion on Raw, and we have Jade Cargill as the women's champion on SmackDown. And then this is the perfect time to, you know what? We're going to reinvigorate the WWE women's tag team division and put all the potential contenders that can give these two titles some type of meaning. No, we're going to put them in the tag division and leave our two standards with no opponents whatsoever. It makes no sense whatsoever. But neither here nor there. One last thing. What do y'all believe was behind Stephanie making a point to say that she was more than the Devil's Kiss? Because that was a particular comment that was meant for something. What do y'all believe that meant?
Tyler, let you field that one first. I have my thoughts.
Yeah, it's hard for me to be objective with anything Stephanie Vacquer, so I want to be thoughtful about my words. The Devil's Kiss is a really important part of her presentation, but I think we've also got it to the point where she is obviously not a meme wrestler, or that's obviously not the only, move in her arsenal. I don't want her, to your point, Mike, I don't want her reign to be remembered as, oh, we got a lot of fun Devil's Kisses. The audiences across the globe made the Booker T sound, and then the title's off her, and now she's relegated to mediocrity. So if anything, to me, it's a reminder that, I'm arguably the best wrestler in this entire division, maybe this company. I am more than this move that is maybe the first thing you think of when you think of me.
Very similarly, I think she got hired. I'm sure a big part of it was her look. I'm not going to sit here and deny that. Kind of hard to look at her and go like, yep, look at those move sets. And that's all you see. WWE doesn't do that. I mean, they do, but they're also looking for other things. They just refer to them as intangibles. But she has that kind of like spiral splash top rope move that she does. I don't remember if it even has a name, but she does this, that thing off the top rope.
Spiral tap.
Yeah, that's it. Yeah. And she has a couple of other moves, and just like when she kicks people or knees people in the face, it's pretty devastating looking. She's just really, really good in ring. And I think people don't want to be like, oh, that's that girl that does that thing with her ass. And I think that's what's happening there is like, I don't want to be known for just that, because remember, Rhea Ripley had a moment for how she pins people. And I'd say a moment, but it was like an entire summer or something where it was just all of that focus was there. But I don't think it ever left her ability to do stuff in the ring. It just became part of her moveset. And I feel until right now, I always thought that was just part of her moveset. Like she does all that thing, then she does the Devil's Kiss, and it's like, all right, that's a big pop moment because it's her thing. But I'm not only watching it because of that. I'm watching it because she's so freaking good in the ring. And I think that for the weirdos that only show up for that part, she's probably thinking about that. I imagine if she goes on social media, it's absolute poison. I can't even fathom what it's like for a woman in wrestling to go on social media and go into the comment section. I see that a lot in, we'll say an area that hits a little close to home, and it really bothers me. And I get it if that was her thing. I kind of feel like maybe that was her saying, hey, I'd like to address this, because we know she was having a hard time before she left. And I don't know if it was social media or just wrestling in general, but before she got to the WWE, she was really struggling and mentally. And I wonder if the being pushed to the top and being excellent at what she does, and then Venom, I don't know, maybe that's impacted her, and that's where that's coming from. That would be my guess, but I have absolutely no idea if that is so. It just feels like that was a, hey, you need to pay attention. Get your eyes up here, please, is kind of what it felt like.
Let me follow that up with one last thing. While that probably is the case, I wonder, has she expressed her displeasure with that being so focused on, when in reality the company is the one who spotlighted it? Because like you have Booker T, who's part of the company, actually and that got her over. And tell you the truth, and I hate to say it like that, if it wasn't spotlighted, maybe she wouldn't have gotten it over as much as she did because of that move. So now, to not say she has to take it and like it. But for, let's say, for it to be implied that she's telling the fans this when the company is the one that said, look, this you want the devil kiss, girl? Yeah, here. Matter of fact, we put the belt on her here. I feel like it's more incumbent on the company to put her in a program that actually showcases the overall package instead of, okay, we only see her wrestle on TV once a month, and guess what? In 5 minutes, you're going to get 5 devil kisses in a spiral tap, and that's it. So I think that's more incumbent on the company to do that.
Yeah.
But by all means, if she felt like she wanted to address it, but I wonder if she was the one who wanted to address it, or she brought it to their attention. Like, listen, this is what's going on. Let me say this, and maybe that'll take the attention off that particular move.
Getting stuck in a move set is also part of that, right? Like getting pigeonholed, I guess. Saving that for the big moments, like busting out a Mike Steph for a special podcast, would be better to save that.
And my final thought before we get into John Cena retirement talk, guys, we're also having this conversation in a time where when these WrestleMania ads are rolling out on Peacock, on social, during the weekly WWE programming. And on the men's side, we have the big four right around the poker table. We have Brock Lesnar, CM Punk, Roman Reigns, and Cody Rhodes. On the women's side of the advertisements, we see familiar faces like Charlotte Flair, Becky Lynch, the aforementioned Rhea Ripley, Io Sky. But you know who's missing from those ads?
Yeah, I was thinking the same thing.
Stephanie Vaquer, who is the current champ and had arguably as meteoric of a 2025 as anyone. And not saying ads are everything. You can only spotlight so many talents. We just spoke about Stephanie Vaquer versus Io Sky was a primary match on WrestlePalooza. So Steph has gotten her moments this year, but I do think it's worth noting, Mike, to your question, if Stephanie Vaquer perhaps considers the landscape in WWE, and okay, she's had an uber successful 2025, but how do you position yourself to be a woman who has to be on these advertisements, has to be on the marquee to sell WrestleMania tickets? Currently setting up for 2026, she is not there yet. I don't know if that's a sign to indicate any worry for the fellow, Steph fans listening to our podcast, but I do think it's telling that she's not on there when, to me, she is as can't miss. She is as important to the women's division as anyone. She doesn't have the same name ID yet as a Rhea or Charlotte or Becky, certainly, but I would hope that she'll be positioned to be, one of those necessary players moving forward.
It's so apropos that Mike Steph is actually on a segment called Steph Watch.
First time, I believe. Yeah, it was meant to be. It had to happen.
I know.
Production team gave him a jump scare too, I think.
Yes, I had to duck. I was like, hold on, I didn't realize you could actually hear that. I thought that was like added post production, but no, it's live in effect. I am from Crown Heights. So I'm right near the window. Listen, you can't do that, Brad. You can't do that. Listen, give me a heads up.
It's not me, it's them. It's the production team.
Darn. Yeah, I'm sorry. Production team. Yeah, edit. Mark for edit.
Steph Watch with Mike Steph. That was really great, guys. Okay. I want to know if you thought this was great. Saturday night's main event, my most anticipated Saturday night's main event in quite some time. The last time was now. John Cena's retirement. Mike, we're going to start with you. There were 4 matches on this card. I think it's imperative that we begin with the main event and what followed after the match. How are you feeling about John Cena's last match? He goes out on his back. He taps out to Gunther, and all that followed.
Okay. Like I've told y'all prior to recording, my main focus is the aftermath of this match, not so much the match, unfortunately. Gunther won, probably not in the fashion that anybody really wanted. I mean, you could tell by the lead up that that's what they were hinting at. It's like, yeah, I'm not going to just beat you. I'm going to make you tap. I'm going to make you give up in your last match. I think it would have been more impactful if they would have had somehow, some way had more of a story leading into this match, face to face, talking about each other. But because of the limited dates and the prior program with Cena and Dom, that wasn't available. So when we get to the end and he taps, while it should have been predictable, it was just less than filling. I did ask, and this is behind the scenes, I did ask my compadres here at GI, my tag team partners, that could I have a little soliloquy? And because I wrote notes to specifically focus how I felt about this match. What really stuck out to me was not, like I said, the match itself, but the immediate reaction after the bell rang. Did y'all know that the crowd was silent? Like it was a hushed sound, and not in a good way. It was like it was very eerie. I've only seen that witnessed that 2 times in my wrestling life, and it's been 40 years. I've been a fan since 85, late 85. 2 times. One was the Montreal screw job when Bret Hart got screwed out of the title. And 2, the second time was the Undertaker's streak ceasing. But those are 2 totally different situations. One was literally unexpected because nobody knew except for 3 people. And the other one was just a booking decision. Now, if and when this bubble that WWE has, the success, if and when this bursts, this might to me be the inflection point. Like, this might be the point where the audience finally pushes back on what they feel as if they've been played for fools. Like, you have the ongoing rise of everything related to WWE, the product. But the product is not living up to the price tag. Being squeezed for every penny. Ads on every square inch of the mat, the screen. Commercials out the wazoo on PLEs. 4 matches on a 3.5-hour event, i.e. Survivor Series board games. The fact that Paul Triple H Levesque got roundly booed when he made his appearance after this match was over was so telling. I mean, to me, this is the price you pay when you always think that you're the smartest person in the room. As Triple H is always, he's the game. He's the cerebral assassin, right? Now, also, this is the price you pay for wanting to be at the center of attention at all times. Because I will say, and I'll put myself on Front Street, that wrestling-wise, I'm a Vince McMahon person. I'm a Vince McMahon guy. I'm not a Triple H guy. A lot of success Triple H got was because he was diametrically opposed to what Vince McMahon was presenting. Now he has nothing to go against. So now I believe all his flaws are being shown. But the fact that he could not let the moment breathe without him being at the center. This is John Cena's last match for 20 years, over 20 years. 20 years as the number 1 guy. Right? Sans for, of course, the last several years where he's been part-time or whatever. But the number 1 guy, and he couldn't give him less than 30 seconds to a minute by himself in the ring to get the adulation of the fans. Did anybody notice that when they came out, who was leading the crew after Triple H and Stephanie? You had Undertaker. You had HBK. You had Bruce Pritchard, pretty much all the people that you saw in the Unreal, right? And the chorus of boos was, to me, juxtaposed by the laughter that you saw on HBK's face. Not realizing that, or maybe he did realize, like, okay, listen, they don't like the decision, but guess what? They have no say-so in the matter. We're the run to run here. Like, this has been a coup in the making, tell you the truth, for like the last 30 years. If you really want to get deep into the seat, deep in the weeds. But Even Cena knew that the crowd was right when they chanted bull-ish and you effed up loudly. They had Cody and Punk, the two current champions, your two standard bearers, right? They had them come into the ring and present John Cena with not replica titles, their titles. Never mind about the fact that he's been crapping on them by saying, I'm the last real champion. And they're giving him their titles. Once again, you could tell in his face he felt uncomfortable doing it. Even when they was telling him, production, go around the ring, show it. He's actually told Punk, this ain't going to work. This is not going to work. Like, this is not going to flip the crowd. But he did it because he's a soldier. 18 months of an uninspired product came to a head last night. And to me, it could probably be more than, but I'll just say 18 months of an uninspired product came to a head last night. The past of making of stories making no sense with lack of story was on full display. The decision to waste 5 months of Cena's last year on a piss poor heel turn was another reason why it probably was received the way it was. If they would have leaned into the heel turn fully, and then he had his redemption story, and then at the end, okay, fine, Gunther, he met his match, and he said, you know what? Okay, I just don't got it anymore. Fine, but they didn't do that. Him tapping out might have been more impactful. But because they did everything story-wise half-hearted, it was very apropos that at the end, when Cena tapped, did anybody notice that Cena had a nice big old smile on his face? It's almost like he said, you know what? I'm out this joint. Y'all gonna have to deal with this. This is all right. I wanted to lose, and this is how I want to lose. But fine, guess what? I'm gonna have the last laugh here. If you think Cena's not political when it comes to wrestling, y'all been sleeping on the rock the last 20 years. To me, that smile always like, you know what? Guess what? I'm blowing this joint. Last time is now. I'm finished.
It was noticeable, my guy.
Yes, it was.
I sure did notice that too. I have several thoughts on this, but I want to kick it to Brad Winchester first. B, what'd you think of the last time is now?
I agree with most of what you said, Mike. I think we say comparison is the thief of joy. I don't think it is if you compare it to how Sting went out. So the Sting retirement tour, knowing it was going to be the end for him, I thought he got a perfect send off. I have no notes for how they could have done that better. Granted, totally different age category. Man was 20 years older than Cena. Grew up in the business and began his career at a totally different time, a much probably harder on the body time, I would imagine, just because people didn't know and science and all these things. I didn't hate the tap out. I'm not going to lie to you. I didn't hate it because it's, and I hated it. I wrote some notes. Okay. So I wrote notes for this. I said, the right thing to do in the business is to put over talent that is going to follow you, right? Like that's always been the standard for everybody. We know that, having never taken a bump. We know that like you pay it forward. You go like, all right, I'm going out. I'm going to make sure that I put over the talent that's coming after me so that the business stays healthy and that it can continue after me. I want to leave the place better than when I found it. So I'm going to lose so that that person looks bigger because I was this big thing. And now that person has been elevated and I get to pass that on to people. That's the thing to do. It's the quarterback that takes a ride on the bench after throwing for 15 years to help support the new guy rather than being bitter about it and just going into business for yourself. It's that kind of mentality. So I think that he has been thinking old school about this, and the never give up guy giving up is poetry. I hate it for another reason, but I'll get into that in a second. But I do think, considering how loudly people booed Gunther and they had to get extra security just to get him to his car after the event. I think it worked. I think he elevated Gunther as a heel. I don't think he elevated Gunther as a wrestler because he was already there. But I think he certainly elevated him as a heel, like a detestable heel. Lots of us were like, yeah, he's a heel, but he's so freaking good. I don't care. I just want to watch him wrestle because he's so good. I want to see people get their heads chopped off, and I want to see him powerbomb people through the mat because he does old school movesets that should end a match. Powerbombing somebody that hard should end a match. Like taking your whole back out of your control and being slammed straight down, you should just be dead. So watching those things, as Michael Cole said on commentary, he is a throwback. And I appreciated that he won the match with essentially a headlock. I think that's great. Putting him in a sleeper, legs wrapped. You put him in a red rum, a giant Gunther-sized red rum. But it was good. I didn't hate it. I love that Cena fought out of it. Gunther's like, nah, we're back. That made sense. Why would you stop doing the thing that worked? So, like, the way the match ended all made sense. It just felt like a kind of a wet fart in that it didn't really feel like he had a chance. But he told us on the way out he was going to lose. I hate that he told us on the way out that he was going to lose. He held up the towel and said, we're going to go down swinging. Like, why would you say that? Hey, I'm about to lose. Like, why would you just say that to the camera? I thought that was weird. I know what he meant. Like, we're gonna fight to the end is what he probably should have said. I don't know. It just felt weird. Again, the build up to it, like you said, it was cool having the tournament. I think we at the start was like, it's probably going to be Gunther, but nobody really wanted it to be. I don't know why. I don't think it was because of the match quality or anything like that. I think it was just because he didn't need it. Where Jay's been teasing this like heel turn thing for such a long time. I think that would have been the way to go. But also I don't know, that there still seems like there's things there that I don't want to get into right now, but I would say that this was Cena's decision. I think it's Cena's decision to do it that way. And I think that smile at the end was the resignation. Like, yeah, this is it. And I think it was just him doing the storytelling thing. It was the opposite of when he did the heel turn and he did the flat affect dead serious face. I think it was the, no, I'm okay with this. I'm at peace with it. It's time for me to be done. My time is now. And he did the little tap. What I don't like, even though poetry, storytelling, blah, 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 never give up. He gave up as a wrestler. I wouldn't have had him do it that way because of the Make-A-Wish thing. I don't love that the last message is sent like, well, sometimes you got to give up. Like, that's the part that I didn't really like that all that much because I'm having a harder time with that, or maybe I'm sensitive to that because a friend of mine just lost his wife to cancer, and it's on my mind. And seeing that, I was just like, that's the worst place you probably could have done that. And I think any other time it would have been, or any other wrestler, that would have been perfect. But having that attachment there made me go, I don't love that. And sure, we all know the deal, right? Like, we all know the script. We all know that. We know Cena knew it. We all know that, but children might not get it. And the people that need the most hope and support, you saw the adults were crushed. They were cutting to people going, what the bleep? Like, in the crowd. That might have been my favorite part. Freya looked at me. She was watching with me on the couch and looked at me and went, why are you smiling? Because I said, oh, because this is just going to be such a mess. And I'm here for it. She doesn't understand my brain at all. And I don't blame her for me to be like, oh, the good guy lost and everything sucks. That doesn't make any sense to an 8-year-old who doesn't really pay attention to wrestling. Big Javon Evans fan now, though. She was just watching and was like, I don't get why you're smiling. Because they're cutting to kids crying. And like, she's like, why are you smiling at this? Like, listen, you've done your job if you can make the audience feel. Big feelings, really big feelings except I don't think that these were the big feelings you want. This would be like go away heat. And I know people are going to go like, no, it'll change. They'll forget about it. Daniel Bryan, not Bryan Danielson. Fans are fickle. So if you make them forget by going forward, by going like, I know, let's do a whole bunch of major events in a country that maybe is not the place that everybody else would pick. Because kings and journalists and all kinds of other reasons. Even though their name is on the mat for Saturday night's main event on Peacock. I wonder what the fallout is going to be, because the product is in decline at the moment. I'm sure they're making more money than they've ever made. I'm sure of that, because tickets are $8 bajillion a ticket. You got to pay an extra $30 to watch their crap on ESPN. Like merchandise is up, like everything is up. I'm wondering if I should get hot dog buns this week or just get some flour and make my own while they're charging higher prices for stuff. And it's kind of crazy. So I'm sure monetarily they're doing better, but I know the gates for Raw and SmackDown and those kinds of things have been in decline. And that's with Cena's retirement tour. That's with that. I think the business in general is kind of down across the board in terms of attendance. And now we have all these other factors up in the air because of the potential Netflix acquisition of Warner Brothers. There's all this stuff going on. I don't really know how to feel about that, but I guess the point is that I feel like this might be the start of something, because I don't feel like they had a plan for after this. Now what? Like, what's the next move? We're going to reheat in the microwave for the 87,000th time Cody Rhodes and Drew McIntyre. I am so out. Like, I'm sick of it. At this point, get them both out of here. I don't want to see either of their faces. Like, Cody sucks right now. Like, that character is ass right now because I'm bored. I'm so bored. They keep doing the same crap over and over and over again. We finally got a good new thing. And what happened? DQ finish, because of course that's the way it was going to happen, because the only way to end that match is Obafemi winning. Maybe that's what they're going to do in the future, and he's the one. Or maybe they have Drew beat Cody after Drew Cody 78 this year, and then Drew gets the belt and Obafemi beats Drew. Maybe that's the move. I don't know. The point is, everything else is really stale or listless. What's the plan for Steph? What's the plan for Julia? What's the plan for any of these people? Is there even a plan? It just feels like they're biding time to get to the Rumble so they can plan out WrestleMania. And that's all I can think, because they're doing the ads for WrestleMania and fine. But I'm just, this Cena thing really, everything after it, the video was cool. The confusing everybody out to the ring thing. I would have rather have seen it like follow Cena back after the loss into the back with everybody standing there waiting for him and not out in the ring. I think that would have been dope. We get to see the backstage thing. We get to see him out. Maybe that's the post show. Maybe you put it up on YouTube and everybody gets to watch. We get a Cena speech, a thank you, hold up the towel, out of there. I don't think there's anything wrong with that. Keep it simple. Instead, we got what we got, which I thought was really stupid. The belts thing was stupid. He didn't want to do it. He very clearly, and he was like, fine, I guess I'll go over here too, because they're pointing. He's like, all right, and then he was just screwing with the crowd going, cheer, a cheer, a cheer. And he was like, he clearly like, this is stupid. I don't think there's any disputing that he thought it was dumb. I was shocked the way it ended. I thought after it ended, when it didn't end, was even worse. And I hated everything about it, except for the match. I actually really enjoyed the match. I really enjoyed the storytelling in the ring. I really didn't hate the finish. I hated the message that the finish sent. I was down for him losing. Absolutely down for him losing. I'm okay with the tap out. I just don't know that it was probably my sensitivities to that. Everything afterward was just bunk. And those commercial breaks on Peacock were excruciating, man. Like 5-minute wait music. I felt like it was in an elevator, but the elevator was going to hell.
Best
Two very
is pause it for like 5 minutes, and therefore you can skip the commercials.
pro tips from Mike.
Well, I had no commercials. That was the problem. It was just the elevator music from Peacock. which was me trying to stay awake because, again, I was so apocalyptically bored. Shout out to Bailey and Soliloquy getting my interest, though.
Indeed. Two very difficult acts to follow. Guys, I don't know what this next comment says about me, but I'm going to say it anyway. We started the year with Hulk Hogan being booed out of Inglewood, and we are nearly ending the year with Paul Triple H Levesque being booed out of DC, our nation's capital. Maybe there's hope after all. Maybe 2025 wasn't all bad. This was a cathartic experience for me. I could not hold back my smile during Mike's commentary, reminding us about just the sheer volume, the decibel level of
Can't
those
confirm
boos.
that text message.
It just
I'm still club nine.
I'm still beaming about it. I don't know what to say other than it made me very happy. It may go down in a couple weeks, Brad, when we review the year that was. It may go down as one of my favorite wrestling moments because the match itself, I was fine with. I'm actually quite happy Gunther ended up being the choice. If it wasn't going to be Obafemi, if Obafemi can't have all of the nice things, I'm glad that it was Gunther. To me, this sets up Gunther to be on a retirement tour in 2026. If he's not going to be positioned as the top champion, I don't think it makes sense for him to go back into the IC division. What is going to be there for him? Okay, well, he's going to be the guy to retire Brock Lesnar. Maybe he's the guy that retires AJ Styles. Maybe if Chris Jericho comes through and comes home, maybe there's a program there where he is the last feud. I'm just glad that potentially we have a creative direction for Gunther if it's not going to be having the top prize in the company. Other quick thoughts. I agree with you guys. This was such a weird post-match celebration. I for sure thought John Cena was going to get on the mic. And I know that he's made the media rounds. Brad, last week you spoke about the interview with Bill Simmons. I think he's been on late night. He's appeared on my YouTube seemingly everywhere. So I get that we've heard his reflections, but to not have, as you pointed out, Mike, if I paid a ticket to be in the Capital One Arena, I for sure thought we were going to get a few minutes of him on the mic and that would be broadcast to those of us watching on Peacock. So that was in itself just strange that we didn't get any mic time. And for the shout out to my 8th birthday, for the Chuck E. Cheese, here, kid, hold the 2 belts and let's get a photo op. Not for the GOAT, not for the never seen 17-time champion. It was so strange. It was comedy gold for me. It felt like it was straight out of an SNL skit. I have so many questions now, almost 24 hours later, about what we watched. I agree with you guys, Mike. I agree with your comments that when we look back at the Cena retirement tour, there were so many swings and misses. I have questions about the creative direction and how all this played out. Maybe it'll be the subject of a future Unreal. I saw news that Unreal Season 2 was going to come back in the new year. Maybe we get the backstory on this, but certainly, Brad, if we compare this to a Sting in AEW or maybe some other recent retirement tours I'm forgetting, it just seems like, how do you swing and miss this flagrantly for one of your most famous, possibly your most popular superstar of the last 2 decades? It's strange. It's unfortunate. But luckily I just had a great time laughing at how literally all of this played out. Part of me feels bad for John Cena, but to your guys' point, I think he's going to be just fine. I'm sure we're going to see him in the world of pop culture, obviously with Peacemaker and maybe some other projects coming down. This was so weird. I have so many questions about it. I think it was heavily fumbled. Shout out to the DC crowd for showing up and showing out, especially with the boos the way they did. Finally, in terms of my other takeaways, I felt really happy for the NXT talent spotlighted on this card. Obafemi. Guys, Obafemi. He is him. He is the one. He has it. I should have seen that it was going to be a DQ finish all along with Drew McIntyre interfering. But on the bright side, maybe this leads to Oba versus Drew at Mania or SummerSlam. I think we have to run back Cody Rhodes versus Obafemi at some point. Brad, you pointed out Soliloquy had a showcase match. She beat Bailey. Javon Evans is not only Freya's new favorite wrestler, but also had a fun match alongside Leon Slater. Leon Slater's probably WWE bound when his contract ends with TNA next year.
Mm-hmm.
There were a lot of wins on this card, but the way it ended was just a huge head scratcher for me.
Yeah. I think one of the things that I took away too was Leon Slater, very intelligent and very quick with this is what makes sense. Like thinking about actor choices, you have to do things that make sense, right? Like if you walk into a room and you can't see somebody, you have to at least be looking somewhere else. If you look right at them and walk right at them and you're like, oh, there you are. That doesn't make any sense. He did that because I don't know if it was a plan. I don't know if that slip was planned or not. But the way that AJ Styles slipped off that rope, it sure didn't seem like it. But he's also really good at making us believe that that's what happened. So I'm fine with it either way. But when he landed, Slater immediately got to him and tried to make a cover, right? Like he got to him right away and tried to do, I don't remember what it was, but he immediately got to him to do a move and keep it moving instead of going like, oh crap, what happened? And freezing up. And I went, oh, that was really cool. That was some really good in-ring wrestling stuff, just being aware. The only thing I didn't love, and this is John Cena throughout his entirety of his career, was how loudly and obviously and vocally and verbally he calls his spots. It's like he's talking like this, having the whole conversation. It's just like, you can watch him go like, punch me. Like, I don't like watching him do that part. But to your point, the NXT talent looked great. Obafemi cannot do that walk on the main roster. He cannot do that walk. The NXT ring is 20 feet long. That entrance is 20 feet. 16 miles of in-ring entrance walking like a goofball like that looks so stupid. Like Freya started laughing at how ridiculous he looked. My 8-year-old was like, that was silly because it looks ridiculous because it's just 5 minutes of this. Like, I don't want to watch that for 5 minutes. He's just Vince in slow motion. Nobody wants that. I really doubt he wants that. I'm sorry, it's goofy.
I will add this. This is just from my the way I've seen him do it in the past. For some reason, his strut is slightly different than how he did in NXT. It's like he did a little bit more bounce to like,
very bouncy.
I guess to try to amplify it, but in a way, him trying to amplify it made him look, like you said, look a little foolish.
He looked like a cartoon.
More cartoony. Yeah. And
instead of like,
it takes down his
dude. Yeah,
it takes down his intimidation factor. Like when he comes and you see the shadow, and he's just and then the crowd's like woof, woof, woof. Great. But when he's doing like this, it's almost like it
was too much. Yes. That's exactly what I was thinking. Because when he's doing the bounce, it's like his ominous footsteps are coming, right? Like it's just like he's thundering to the ring. That looks cool. But last night he was like, what the hell is this? Like he's just bumping to that. Like that's some weird, I don't know what's happening here. He was way too jovial. And I think that was when you go jovial on that, it's not intimidating anymore. He's like, ooh, I can't wait to get to these little cake pops up here at this wedding because I'm excited for the treats. That's all I could think of when he was heading up. It was like he was excited to get his hands on some bear claws. Like,
I hope he wasn't instructed to be a little bit more.
Guarantee he was. I guarantee he was like, amp it up. It's the big time.
There's so many connotations that it could that can be read through that. Like, okay, you need to smile. You need to be a little more jovial. You need to have a little more bounce. You know, it's almost like I can hear Vince McMahon's voice, like, yeah, you got to give him the smile. You know, it's like for that particular character, he needs to be how he's been presented the whole time. Do not change a thing. If anything, when he quote unquote, because he's not a face, he's not a heel, he's a tweener. He pretty much goes wherever, he just faces everybody. But do not Roman Reigns, don't do that to him. What they did as in the big dog and everything from back in the day. Don't
Rhea's debut. Changing Rhea Ripley entirely from what she was in NXT. That's what it felt like. I don't know, like I don't watch NXT regularly, and when I do, I'm like, oh, this guy is awesome. I've talked about it with you before, Ty. It's like every time I see him, like he looks intimidating like a monster. And he is intimidating like a monster because he's a huge human being that can go. But like him coming out, the lights, the lasers, all that stuff is super cool. The crowd interaction is dope. He was just bouncing like way too much. And he looked like a goofball. And maybe it's the way they shot it. And I think it's because that ramp is just such a long entrance and it's such a slow walk to the ring that they're filming it a little farther back and then zooming in. And that tight shot just makes it look like, because it's a little bit more up. Maybe it's just the angle. It's highlighting stuff that it doesn't get highlighted as in NXT, but goofy. And I'm not even taking that from my head. That's straight up coming out of my 8-year-old daughter's head, who thinks everything isn't goofy. She was laughing.
Maybe he was so engrossed of what's going on in Ann Arbor that just gave him a little extra bounce.
Yeah.
I love Freya. I love Obafemi, and I'm just so excited
when you have kids,
for what's ahead for him. Indeed. Guys, something I'm also excited about is to recap, to review the best documentary on Netflix right now about the life, the career, the rise, and the downfall of Sean Diddy Combs. Let's hit the music. It's at the movies.
And now, it's time for GI at the Movies.
All right, gentlemen, the highly anticipated 4-part series dropped on Netflix, again, documenting the downfall of one Sean Diddy Combs. Brad, if only we knew someone who lives in New York, loves hip-hop, and won't shy away from sharing their honest, maybe salty thoughts. Oh, that's right, Mike Steph is here. Mike, Sean Combs, The Reckoning. What's your thoughts on all this?
Oh, I have so many thoughts.
I know you do.
I don't know. I actually don't know where to start. I guess I'll start here. Like the documentary itself, and that's what we're going to focus on. Really, is what the documentary did, not the whole case and his background, everything, but the documentary. Documentary itself was very eye-opening because of the actual footage that was included. How they got the footage, there must be a leak in his camp. But the fact that we had conversation between him and his lawyer on how to spin it, and how he was so upset about the lawyer not doing more to sway the public opinion, was jarring, especially at the end where he was out and about in the streets of Harlem, being a man of the people, and then he gets into the limo, and the first thing he says is, "I need some hand sanitizer. Oh my God, I can't wait to get home to get a bath. You know how many hugs I've given?" I'm like, okay, good thing this was released after the trial. But the Biggie situation to begin with, to see all the tentacles, how it wasn't specifically, Big and Pac. Like Diddy, Puff, Sean Combs, and Suge Knight had relationships stemming way back from the Uptown days, which I'm sorry, I was ignorant to. I didn't know. I thought everything started from Pac and Big. No, that probably was why the animus between both of them was such. The fact that he used. Okay, matter of fact, I'll say this. My wife, from the time that Big passed away, by the time that Big died, by the time Big was killed, she said Puffy had something to do with it. I guarantee you, Puffy had something to do with it. Now, a lot of people realized or figured, all right, Puff had something to do with it. I'm from Brooklyn. Literally, the day that they had his funeral procession, it was almost like a holiday in the town. It was a holiday in Brooklyn. Like everybody was out. Either they were out there seeing him come through the streets of Brooklyn, or they were in their own parts of Brooklyn, paying respects or what have you. The fact that man literally used the money that he should have gave to the state, should have gave to his moms, to pay for all that, say, yeah, I want the biggest thing ever, but it ain't coming out my pocket. Wow. Then for you to be to grieve in the way so publicly, knowing that you didn't give a rat's ass about, dude, like, all right, listen, this is my chance to get the cover. No. That man not here no more. That's my rolling soul cover. That was crazy. And now we go all the way to the end where we're talking about the Cassie situation and all the numerous victims. The one thing that was stark to me was how, and I think they mentioned they did mention in the doc that he started dealing with prescription drugs after he cut his hand or something to that effect. That Puffy was a junkie. He was just a junkie with money. Like, you could see the evolution of him, how his skin tone changed, how bloated he was, how just out there he was. What leads me to believe, what leads me to think is this. Now, the situation with him and Cassie was sad. You know who I actually was really worried about, upset about? Aubrey O'Day from Dandy Kane, right? Now, I used to watch Making the Band. So I remember that I remember the first one with the rap group with the band, and I remember the one where they made Dandy Kane, right? And once again,
we got Day 26 after that.
Yeah,
me too.
And we used to watch that. And at first, I mean, while it was happening, it was like, look, something going on. I think Diddy hitting that. I think Diddy Witchcore is having sex with Aubrey, right? Like, in real time, you could see how confident she was in certain ways she would speak to him, led to something that was behind the scenes that was unsaid in camera, because the rest of the group wasn't as confident in saying and speaking in the manner that she did. So for it to come out that, yes, something happened, but something happened that was not quote unquote consensual, that literally he said that, yeah, you know what? They getting on my nerves. I'm going to drug them out and pimp them out. And literally that's what he attempted to do, or at least he attempted or did to Aubrey, because you can even see, this is probably coming from me from watching too much SVU, but you could see the transformation of that young, vibrant young woman at the very beginning during the auditions, even throughout the series, of how she had augmentations to her face, augmentations to her body. She looked kind of, I wouldn't say run down, but she looked like she'd been partying hard. And that's all the things those are all the signs of abuse. Those are all the signs of just self-hatred, so to speak, that was brought upon what she was going through. And the fact that he spawned another group out of what was it, Dawn? Yeah, Dawn Richard. And when she gave the allegation, she's like, yo, what in the brokenness is this? Don't get me wrong. I personally think Dawn had a lot to do with whatever they were doing as a tandem. I think she flipped sides, but everybody flipped sides. Everybody was down for it until everything came down. But this is my last point, or this is my last remark so far. The producer, what is it, Little Ray or Little? I forgot. The guy that was producing the Love album, and how he said that it progressed. The next thing you know, he's waking up sore. The relationship has gotten kind of weird. He never got paid for it, for his time and his efforts and his job.
And they played the voicemails that Diddy left for him as well.
Yeah, this was the age-old story of eventually karma is a you-know-what. A lot of people to this day still haven't spoken out. that I'm quite sure know. What kills me at the end of the day, what kills me is everybody knew what was going on, or everybody had an inkling and knew what was going on, but only until Cassie finally broke free, and only because she was able to have a confidant relationship with somebody who had equal, if not more, power than what Diddy could have, did she feel comfortable in exposing it. Everybody else felt, to this day, feels like, all right, he's going to be home in another 2 years. All right, he's still going to be able to control our career. So that's why a lot of people would still stay quiet. But Diddy was always in a position of, if he had more power than you, he was going to use it to the fullest extent. Definition of a punk, really. And this is the last thing, that it all started from that CUNY, the City College situation. I lived through that. Like, I wasn't there.
I didn't even know about that. The basketball game.
No, that was big. That was big in New York. That was big in New York at the time. Him, Heavy D, and everything, and the aftermath, and how many people's lives got lost. That's where he first came on the map.
Yeah. And Mike, if I could just interject, for our audience may not be familiar. So back in the day, Diddy's just coming up, and he throws this celebrity basketball game at the local college, and the place is jam packed. It sells out. Everybody in the city is coming to see this game, and then it gets so overcrowded, and the proper security measures are not in place. That, correct me if I'm wrong, Mike, this was highlighted in the documentary. People end up getting trampled, and several people die at this event. I had no idea.
Yeah, he would score it, and
he's one of the organizers. The
ironic part was he was talking about it as if he wasn't there. Like, well, the main problem, the main objective is to make sure this doesn't happen again. Well, you were the organizer. You're not taking no type of responsibility whatsoever. And he was able to get away with that. And as the documentary said, that was the first sign that, okay, I have to gift the gab. I can sell my way out of everything. I can talk my way out of everything. Oh, I can manipulate, as long as I have a piece of power, or just a mediocre powder. Power. I can manipulate everything.
Powder.
It was crazy, but yeah, that documentary. I wonder if that documentary gets as much play if 50 Cent's name is not behind it. The person, I forgot her name, Stevenson, I believe, if I'm not mistaken. But the director, she did a great job. But I wonder how much, fanfare it would have got if 50 Cent was behind it, and everybody knows, or everybody's talking about the motivation behind 50 Cent putting this out and making sure this was a thing. That's my number one question. But yeah, it was a sad tale. It was a sad tale, especially, like I said, with the actual coverage of footage that we had.
Yeah, 50 was doing the whole media tour, promoting this on the various networks, and frankly, I wasn't necessarily eager, just counting down the days until this dropped on the app. But once I said, okay, let me check out the first episode, I was, if not hooked, I was memorized by this documentary. I thought it was incredibly well done. And as someone who has followed Diddy's career and has had an obscene amount of Sean John clothes over the years, thank you, Ma, for all the trips to Metro Center and hooking me up. It's like, dang, this guy was garbage this whole time. But because of his salesmanship, because of the way everything was packaged on MTV, on 106 in Park, we just bought in to, oh, he's this businessman, he's challenging the system. And here we are all these years later, truly reckoning with the fact that he is a destructive person. And perhaps the signs were there this whole time that he's not someone who we should celebrate. Yeah, it was jarring. I was memorized by it. And if you have not seen it, highly recommend on Netflix. 4 parts. You're going to be hooked, guaranteed.
I haven't gotten to check it out yet. I was going to watch it, but I couldn't with Jess, and Jess wants to see it. I've been wanting to check it out. In 97, I was a freshman, and I would, instead of taking the bus, I would get a ride with my neighbor. Shout out to Jen. And I'm pretty sure every morning we listened to Mo Money, Mo Problems on the way to school. So he ended up, oh no, being part of a soundtrack to my life. Uh-oh. Is Ty frozen solid? He's frozen solid. Mo pixels, Mo Problems for Ty. It was definitely a time. And then I think that the following year is when I think it was 98 when he did the Jimmy Page remix for the Godzilla soundtrack. And like he had a really big moment in not just hip hop, but like just in general, where it was sort of like his coming
That's
out
highlighted
party.
in the doc as well.
Yeah, I imagine it is, because that's the era that I think of him. And then everything after that is like all the name changes. And then like clothing and all the other things he was doing. But I remember hearing about it and going like, really? That guy? Okay. All right. And then all this stuff comes out. And it's like, oh my gosh, this is crazy. This is absolutely nuts. So I'm excited to check it out. I'm glad you guys got to take a look, because I'm biding my time, but I know that it is our time to talk AEW. Let's get into it. Okay, so we had a lot of things happen in AEW this week. We had the Babes of Wrath. We had Speedball versus Kyle Fletcher. I can't wait to hear your thoughts. Ty, why don't you kick us off?
Yeah, well said, Brett. I'm going to kind of lean on what you just mentioned here. This was the strongest week of AEW TV in months. Like you said, Willow Nightingale and Harley Cameron became our inaugural women's tag champs, which was a big surprise for me, a happy surprise. As you mentioned, Kyle Fletcher and Speedball Bailey tore the house down in a match of the year candidate. And big matches have been added to World's End. Mike Steph, our audience may recall that you have what I would classify as an on-again, off-again relationship with the product. What did you think of Dynamite and Hotlanta?
Okay. Truth be told, I have not been watching Dynamite nor Collision for months now. The last time I actually watched a portion of Dynamite was Blood and Guts, and that was only because I was very much intrigued by the women's Blood and Guts match, which was outstanding. Prior to that, I probably hadn't watched the episode in months, but due to me being diligent and making sure that I was going to come on this show prepared, I did watch the majority of Dynamite this past week, and more specifically, I saw the title match for our inaugural AEW Women's Tag Team Champions, who are now the Babes of Wrath, Willow Nightingale and Harley Cameron. They defeated the Love Time Bombs, Love Time Bombs, which was Tony Storm and Mina Shawakara. Now the match was great. I'm a Willow fan all the way, and I love Willow and I love Harley. And if they was on my screen every week, I probably would make a point to go and watch them every week. The fact that the Babes of Wrath are the the first champions was surprising when you looked at the brackets, because you totally did not think they were going to get to the finals. I think everybody had it etched in stone. It was going to be Tony and Mina versus Mercedes and Athena, and the Babes of Wrath beat them. So I really enjoyed it. Now, the other match that y'all are going to spotlight is the Speedball Mike Bailey Kyle Fletcher match, which was a good match to me. The reason I say good is I told you in the pre-production that I have a problem right now when I'm watching wrestling, and that wrestling is, I guess, based on the way WWE just sets things up, and the fact that I've been watching wrestling for 40 years, I can kind of see things happen before they happen. And thankfully for the Mike Bailey Fletcher match, I was engrossed because they were doing so many things, and they were telling a story. It wasn't a storyline, but the match was telling a story because of the tournament, which Mike Bailey's trying to get his first win, Cal Fletcher trying to retain his dominance. And for the fact that it came down to the very last minute and Mike Bailey was able to pull out the victory was great. One caveat though. Cal Fletcher, wow, I love his skill. He makes me cringe when I watch him wrestle because of the difficulty and the danger of the moves that he's executing. That slam on what was the ringside barrier? No, not the apron, the barrier. Remember, he slammed him on the barrier.
Mm-hmm.
I'm like,
yeah,
what inch that could go wrong?
Yeah, it was crazy. Yeah,
the apron bomb. Okay, we've already saw that go wrong with Adam Cole. So he does things with such snap, with such intensity. While it's great looking, and thankfully, nobody else has gotten hurt. It takes me out of the moment of watching and enjoying the artistry. It's just like, I hope he doesn't hurt nobody. But besides that match made me say, you know what? Maybe on my free time, I will go out and make a point to check out some of the Continental Classic matches going forward. Because I'm not gonna lie, in the last couple of years, this is the time of year that I actually like watching it for the matches, for the just for the whole spectacle of it. But this year I've just been kind of tuned out. But maybe now, especially now since I can watch it on the HBO Max app, I'll be able to go and rewatch them.
Eventually. They don't put it up right away. The replays are not available right away. You gotta wait. It sucks so much that you gotta wait. I'm like, the next day I'll watch it and it's just not there.
I probably wouldn't get around to the weekend anyway, so that's perfect timing for me.
I don't think it'll be there either.
Well, guys, we also
yeah.
Well, we also got 2 big matches added to the World's End show, which is just coming up in less than 2 weeks. Can you still hear me okay?
Oh, we can hear you. Yes. It's just 5 seconds later. Yeah.
Oh, you're good. Okay, good. Okay. Better than 10. World's End. I'm very excited because Jamie Hayter versus Chris Statlander has been announced for that show, as well as we're running the triple threat back from, almost 2 years ago at Revolution, if I'm not mistaken.
Yep.
In which Samoa Joe is going to defend his AEW Men's World Championship against Swerve Strickland and Hangman Page. Brad, how are you feeling on the road to World's End? Less than 2 weeks away.
Okay, I'm more focused on the Continental Classic. The World's End, right now, it just feels like an event that's coming up. I'm not really feeling any type of way about it other than it is coming up. I'm not worried about it because I know it's going to be good. Their pay-per-views are always great. Babes of Wrath going in as tag champs. That's really fun. Speedball beating Fletcher in probably like one of the match of the year candidates, especially on TV. And then knowing that it's going to be Speedball versus Kevin Knight coming up. Kevin Knight, Mike, if you haven't seen Kevin Knight yet, oh boy, Speedball versus Kevin Knight's going to be a certified banger, and they're a tag team. We know that there's all sorts of combinations that we're getting from this that I'm more excited about than the pay-per-view. Even though I'm excited for Swerve and Joe, I am as excited for just what's happening on weekly TV and some of those matches. It's the in-between stuff that I'm like, all right, okay. Where I'm hit or miss, but it's really exciting with the tournament itself. World's End always ends up shaping up to be one of the best shows of the year. I feel like every year we're like, I don't know how I feel about this. And then they do it and you're like, okay, this was great. This was an incredible show. I just feel like that always happens. My question is Violent Night 2 done filming? It's the only one I got. If it's done filming, you know what that means.
I think we have to get MJF back this week.
Mm-hmm. Agreed. That's it.
Yep. He's got to get that ring. He's got to defend the ring this week at Holiday Bash.
Yep. They're missing an MJF, and I think that will solve a lot of their problems right now with all the other talent that's on the shelf. I think who knows when Jay White's coming back. There's so many people that are down with injuries, with, like Kenny Omega going out with injuries after his title run made sense, but then like going out for a year because of something random like diverticulitis, just strange. There's just been like a lot of unfortunate happenstances, but shooting schedules being one of them. I think that MJF doesn't show up. I just don't think he shows up if it's not a pay-per-view or like a really big moment. And maybe this is the big moment, the Holiday Bash. Maybe that's the big moment. We'll see.
Mhm.
I have one question.
Mhm.
'Cause one thing I did watch that came across my screen that I was kind of wish it didn't. What do y'all believe? I mean, how do y'all feel about the Young Bucks in general right now in their current space, and the prospect, or should I say the reality of the elite reuniting to go against the Don Callis family? I think, is it possible that it's just ran its course? As in, yeah, I know you founded the company, you helped found the company, but unfortunately, because you helped found the company, you can't go away and come back. So you're always there, and and you run out of things to do because there's nothing left for you to do, and you ran out of goodwill. But what do you think about the Young Bucks plot in life right now with AEW?
I don't think they ran out of goodwill, but I do think that you're right with the it's a little stale. They were gone for a long time, and then they've been like kind of present. There was a whole stretch of a couple of months. I think when we saw them in Anarchy in the Arena doing the Founding Fathers gimmick, they had done nothing but like promos for months, and then they had like promos and match where they weren't doing actual in-ring work for long stretches of time, and they're still kind of doing that. So I don't think they've had like fatigue in terms of being in ring. But to your point, I think that there was just so much vitriol and concern after all the CM Punk stuff, and then having to cancel BTE because they're worried about people being litigious. I think all of that stuff sort of like put a damper on their aura when it was, initially I thought they canceled BTE because they were like, well, we're mega heels now, and that's why we're stopping. But I think it was just they don't want to get sued. That's at least what Kenny explained it as. It's like there's just certain people that are like too sensitive about this stuff. So if we go on there and do anything, they're going to sue us. So I'm not really sure. I don't really know what the answer is to that. That hasn't really registered with me. I feel like right now they're in a point where they're trying to put other people over and highlight the younger talent. They're not young anymore. They're the Young Bucks, but they're at the end of their careers. Kenny's at the end of his career. Will Ospreay, if that's the part we don't talk about, if he's able to come back, who knows how much longer he has. He should be able to come back, but you never know. He's had major surgery. Adam Cole is probably done. Keith Lee, who knows? Swerve Strickland's not super young. He's at this young part of his career in terms of getting big, but he's been wrestling as long as Will Ospreay. There's just a lot of questions I have. Okada's kind of at the tail end of his career. He could probably go for a while, but who knows how much longer he has. There's just a lot of guys that are sort of hitting that either the outside peak of their prime, where it's at the decrescendo of their career, I guess. I think that might be playing into it a little bit, where it's, well, yeah, these guys aren't wrestling like not the way they used to. They're still wrestling that way, but they're not wrestling as often. And I think reforming the elite without being the elite isn't going to have that same kind of, I don't know. They lost a bunch of it, and I don't know that they'll be able to regain it. I like that they're coming back together. I guess it'd be like reforming Evolution after the split. You know what I mean? DX, how many times have they reformed? I don't know that they have the same kind of cachet. I almost feel like they could do it, but they would need somebody else. Like the Bucks, Omega, and like, is Hangman going to be a part of that? Because he won't be, but like that would help. Is AJ not going to retire when he retires? Because that would help. I just don't see any way around that actually happening where they can be what they were during peak heel Kenny Omega belt collector. That run with the Elite was just, I don't think it's ever going to ever even remotely approach a level like that again. So we'll see what happens. Because I also feel like Kenny lost a ton of his aura after coming back. He's looked different in the ring. He's still great, but he's not as great as he was. Sort of like when people criticize LeBron for not being as good, and he's like, they were like, well, what happened out there? He's like, I'm old. That was one of the recent interviews with him. I think it was hilarious. It's like, what's going on with your knees and stuff? It's like, what do you mean what's going on with my knees? I'm old. It's just old. And I think that might be catching up with him too, because he's just looking a little slower for Kenny Omega. We'll see what happens.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, lots of mileage. I'm over the Don Callis family, but I am very excited for the reunion of the Elite. I hope we can just reignite the trios division. I don't know that they need to become trios champs, but I want the trios division and those titles spotlighted in a better way. I could see them being the guys who take the titles off the Ops.
Yeah, same. Mike, is that what you're gonna say?
No, actually, I could save mine for what did we miss?
Okay, very good. Well, great segue. All right, guys, what did we miss?
Mike Steph, you want to go first?
Since I segued that. What did we miss? Well, AEW has come to an end. Yes, the YouTube show created by RJ City, had their finale, the series finale last week, in which it was more of a parody on WWE's Unreal, taking you behind the scenes. It was so hilarious. The one thing I hope that's not the end. Maybe it's the end of AEW in its current iteration. Through AEW has brought me closer to RJ City, the character, the person that really made me intrigued of his career, so forth, and like he's one of my favorites. He's seriously hilarious.
He's
and
great.
The one thing about that outlet that will be missed is the opportunity it gave for a lot of the roster that did not get camera time and mic time to get over their character, to get over their personality. Tekla was an episode where I'm like, okay, darn, the baddie, I forgot her name, Layla Gray. Yeah, that was another episode that she was on. I'm like, okay, why doesn't she get this opportunity on AEW proper? So yeah, which go ahead. AEW is bid us farewell, but hopefully that's not the last we see of RJ City and his creations.
Completely agree. I had that in my notes as well. And AEW Dark, we're getting AEW Dark one night only from I believe Cardiff is where it was announced or not announced. We're getting it one night only on Tuesday as a carryover to help that crowd get their money's worth, since they're not there very often. So I'm actually super excited to watch it on YouTube. I actually loved Dark when it was on because there were no expectations or stakes whatsoever. And I loved it. We got some of my favorite moments during that time when we had Cody as a luchador. We had Brian Danielson coming out in what was he? Infinito? Was he El Infinito? I think that's what he was, wearing like the little infinity symbol on his chest, and he had a full body suit, but he was like doing yes chants and stuff. But as a luchador, the commentary was hilarious because it was I think it was just Daddy Magic and Paul White doing whatever. That might have been Dark Elevation. I can't keep them straight, but neither of them exist anymore. And I'm sad for that because that was just extra opportunity for the wrestlers to get work, for us to watch some wrestling for free on YouTube, which I'm sure is why they stopped doing it, because it probably costs a lot of money. But they tried doing the travel dates and the house shows. They stopped doing that after like what felt like a month. I miss Dark, so I'm excited to check it out and see how that goes. I want to shout out the band and the choir and the orchestra at Marana High School this week. All of them had concerts. It was a lot of, they put in a lot of time that people don't see. And it was really cool to get to see all the kids perform and get to put on a show and production. And it was really cool getting invited to be a part of it too, and getting to read for part of the band concert during one of the songs. And it was fun. And then also happy 100th birthday to Dick Van Dyke. Dick Van Dyke turned 100. He made it. He's shooting for 101. I think he's trying to beat George Burns. And Dick Van Dyke is 100 years old, still doing stretches, still doing dancing and singing every day. Dude is just living his life. And he just seems like he's made out of joy. And I just think that's really, really cool to see somebody that was old in my childhood, still alive and still just as positive energy as ever. It was in 2016 where he came out and did the dance. I think it was at the Tony Awards. It like kind of recreated what he did for Step in Time with a cast or just a dance group. I'm not sure if they were doing stuff on Broadway or not, but it was really, really cool. Might have been for the launch of that movie. I have no idea time. But I just thought it was really cool, and I wanted to shout out Dick Van Dyke turning 100 years old is just really cool. Ty, what you got in 5 seconds?
Yeah, a milestone. Exactly, a milestone for sure. I have a few final notes, guys. First, TNA stock watch. Stock up. Danny Luna defeated Indy Hartwell in a dog collar match on last week's Impact. I expect to break out for her in 2026 as a singles competitor. Stock down. The continuation of the NXT versus TNA feud. On board, and Mike Santana should still be champ. Belair. It had its series, not just season, but series finale that dropped on Peacock. It was a fantastic conclusion to the reprise of one of my most beloved shows of the 90s. And then finally, it is finals week. I am grateful for the lessons that this semester has provided. Grace, gratitude. I can't wait for winter break. I'm exhausted and blessed at the same time. And then finally, a big thank you to one of our audience members. Shout out to John. John is at Night with a K, .1954 on Instagram. John said, I feel like Triple H really underestimated the WWE universe. I agree. I would say we agree with you on that comment, John. Please be sure, everyone, to follow Mike Steph at Mike_Steph. Follow us at GIPod19. Thank you for tuning in, and we'll see you next time. Gimmick Infringement is a part of 19 Media Group. You can listen to us on Apple, Spotify, iHeartRadio, or wherever you find podcasts. You can also find us on YouTube via the 19 Media Group channel. Please like, subscribe, comment, and share.